There are a lot of Sleights out there, probably more than any one person could learn in their lifetime. And I've learned a lot of Sleights as well, and most of which, or not most of which, that would be kind of concerning, but some of which I've actually forgotten, mainly because, well, I prioritize practicing and learning Sleights that I think I would actually use in my day-to-day life. Right? But that doesn't necessarily mean that the Sleights that I've forgotten aren't great or aren't useful. It just means that I have different priorities in terms of what I want to refine, what I want to sort of take a deeper look at. So here are just 5 fun Sleights that I don't necessarily use every day. I do practice them for hand dexterity and all that stuff, but I don't really use them all that often. But maybe you can actually find a place for them. Right? So recently Erica Sai actually made a similar video. She made a video on 3 Sleights rather, but you can go ahead and check those out because that will be a different list of moves. And again, it's nice to have a different perspective on sleight of hand as well. But for now, here are just 5 moves that I find personally kind of interesting and kind of fun. And I did make sure to make my list a bit more varied just so that you don't fall into like 5 double lifts or something along those lines. So let's start with a foundational magic move, the pass, right? Most of you will probably know of the classic pass, but there is actually a variation of it by Fred Black called the Black Pass. It's an Ultimate Secrets of Card Magic by Di Vernon, written by Louis Ganson, and it's this very interesting sort of variation on the pass, because it doesn't necessarily use the pinky break. Instead, it uses a different kind of, I would say, get ready. So imagine just doing an everyday classic pass, but you don't really need to stick your pinky all the way in there. It's something a bit more refined and something that I think more Move Monkey-ish people, more Move Monkey-ish magicians will enjoy. But again, there's nothing wrong with the classic pass. I just personally think that having this slight little refinement to the classic pass is a very different and very interesting look at the move. So yeah, generally the Black Pass has all the advantages of a classic pass, but more, okay? Because again, of the break. So here's another fun spin on a fundamental magic move. So imagine doing a multiple turnover, but it's from the center of the deck, and it's actually from a dribble. That's, well, where Franco Pasquale and Kalen Morelli's drip double actually comes into place. So it's sort of an interesting move. It's not necessarily my favorite move because I don't really like the sequencing, but it is a very, very sort of mechanically interesting move. So if you want to have a selection selected from a dribble and then go into a double immediately afterwards, then this would be an interesting move for you to look at. But it's also really interesting because this isn't limited to a double. You can actually do a triple or quadruple or even more sort of lifts with this drip double. So it is actually a very, very fun move. It's just not my favorite to actively do. But if you ever want to have all of those sort of sequencing together, then I think that this is an interesting move to look at. Next up, we have a Vanish. This is a very simple move by Jérôme Francais, and like I always say, simple doesn't necessarily mean bad or good, or more complex doesn't mean good, right? There's a very fair distinction between simplicity and how good something looks and feels, right? So it's this move called the Grabby Move, and it's from his bundle called Moves in the Air. It's sort of a different take on the retention vanish. So in card magic, generally, you have sort of 2 different retention vanishes. You have the Tent Vanish, and of course you have the Rub-a-Dub Vanish, both of which are very, very sort of fundamental magic moves, right? So it's nice to have some variety in terms of how you can actually vanish a card in the deck, right? And so what's really nice about this move as well is that Jérôme Francais has a lot of little touches that actually make this move look that much better. So the Grabby Move, I think, even though it's very simple, it actually looks really good, and it just overall just looks really nice as well. So wait, that's the same thing. It just flows really nicely as well. And you don't have to relearn anything in particular, but you do have to take into account all of the small little touches that make this move look great. So that is the Grabby Move. So we introduced a pass, a double lift, a vanish, and now let's talk about a rather elegant production. So this is the Magic Slap by So Sato, I think that's how you pronounce it, and it's published in The Secrets of So Sato by, obviously, him, and written by Richard Kaufman. But it's this very nice production that's done free-handed, so it means that it's actually done away from the deck, so you can place the deck off to the side and then do the production. So it looks rather nice because you can actually display both hands as being empty, and then you can execute the move. So a lot of productions that I've personally learned, especially over the years, they have to have some sort of compromise where, especially when it comes to close-up magic, when it comes to like productions on like parlor or on stage, right? Usually use card manipulation techniques rather, but for close-up or for more like intimate settings, it's rather rare to have a production that's done off the deck, right? So it is actually really nice to have sort of a production that looks good and is actually done away from the deck. So having the Magic Slap, I think, is a very nice thing. I actually did it for Matt Samuel in Cardistry Con, and so it is a very nice technique. And yeah, I hope that you guys treat it well if you guys decide to actually learn the Magic Slap. And lastly, we'll talk about an older move, but it's still actually one of my favorite moves. Actually, I think this is actually the only move in this list where I still kind of actively use. And so this is a Useful Acquitment by Paul Lepal. And of course, it was published in The Card Magic of Lepal by Paul Lepal. And it's this very sort of nice reverse that's done during a spread, and looks great and flows great. Because honestly, in my opinion, it's one of the best reverses out there. Because if you actually take a look at the move, right, it's actually done, right, under the cover of a spread, and the spread itself provides the cover for the move and also provides the general context for the move as well, because you're spreading out the deck, right? So this move, as far as I can tell, is a great move, right? It has inbuilt context, it has inbuilt cover, and I would say the only downside of this, as opposed to some of the more recent reverses that I've been using. So for example, the Broken Mechanical Reverse by Tony Chang and Xavier Spade. That one in particular allows me to actually place the card wherever I want. I can technically sort of do this with this, but it is a bit harder to place it in a precise location, let's just say. This is more for a general reverse in the center, but it is still a very nice move. And honestly, again, like I said, as far as reverses go, it is probably one of the nicest out there. So that is a Useful Acquitment by Paul Lepal. And those are just 5 fun and interesting moves that I thought they should take a look at. It's just sort of a reminder that sleight of hand is, well, very diverse and basically scattered all over the place with different sources, different books, different videos, different VHS tapes, which is also video, but I digress. So it's really interesting to see that even like common quote-unquote magic books like The Card Magic of Paul Lepal or The Ultimate Secrets of Card Magic, those actually hide moves that people don't really practice all that often, even though I think that they are very attractive and very appealing move. They contain very nice moves, right? So even if you've watched or you've read something, maybe it's actually a good idea to actually revisit those sources from time to time, because you never know what you missed out on during your first watch or your first read, because believe me, the amount of times that I've actually watched or read a new source and then I've come out with something that I missed the first time is actually so often. Like it's actually insane. Because throughout your career, throughout your magic career, throughout your any other career, right? You mature in terms of thinking, you mature in terms of maybe handling and all of that stuff. And so maybe something that you didn't find valuable before can be extremely, extremely useful during your current phase, right? Of your career, of your life, or whatever. So, it's always, always, always worth revisiting sources, even though you think that you've seen them all, even though you think that you studied everything. Because, yeah, just like expert card technique, which again, I still actively sort of refer to nowadays, it still has a lot of techniques that I think a lot of people just sort of skim over, right? But on second read or third read or fourth and fifth and all of that stuff, it actually becomes very, very sort of, it's very interesting to see what you've actually missed out on during your previous reads, right? And so yeah, that's actually just a good reminder to have all of those sort of have those revisitations. And so yeah, I think that about wraps it up for the 5 fun and interesting sleights that you guys should take a look at. Again, we have the Black Pass, we have the Drip Double, we have the Grabby Move, we have the Magic Slap, and of course we have the Useful Acquitment. So those are just 5 varied sleights, and yeah, I hope that you enjoy studying them, and I hope that you enjoy practicing them as well. And so stay healthy, stay safe, and see you guys next time.